Hey everyone, welcome to M9 Prime Gaming. I'm here to talk about console prices and how, unfortunately, it's not getting any better anytime soon. Sony has announced the cost of the PS5 Pro at $700 for about 950 Canadian dollars, which is a lot of money. And we are about 4 years into the PlayStation life cycle, the PlayStation 5 life cycle, I should say. And that means it is time for a refresh, but in Sony's eyes. Xbox doesn't seem to be doing it, but Sony definitely is doing the refresh to get new players and to get a little bit more power. Even though I really don't think we need it. I don't think the PS5 Pro is going to be for a lot of people, considering the PS5 is still, I think, underutilized. It's not like where the PS4 had a ton of games and the Pro version gave you that 4K bump because the original PS4 couldn't do it. But there is a worrying trend where prices are getting higher and we're not seeing any price drops on the base stuff that has already been out. If you remember the old generations, like the PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, Wii, Xbox 360, they all had price drops. The PS3 specifically went down about $100 about 3 to 4 years into its life cycle. So it launched at a stupid high price, the PS3. And then Sony was like, oh no, people aren't buying it. And they launched it again. Well, they reduced the price significantly, I think to like $399. And then in like 2009 or 3 years later, it went down to $299. So it basically kept dropping. And I think by the time the PS3 was almost like on its way out where the PS4 was announced, you could get a PS3 Super Slim for like $149 to $200. Like, it was super cheap. And like the Wii had the same thing. It launched in Canada at $299. I think the US was $199 or $250 or something like that. And then by the end, you could get one for under $99 with a game. Like, I think the Mario bundle was $99. It came with Mario Kart Wii. However, that did strip out the Wi-Fi, and as these consoles did get cheaper, some of them did strip out features. Like the original PS3 Fat had full backwards compatibility with PS1 and PS2 games. It had the card readers on the more expensive model. The cheaper, smaller hard drive model did not have the card readers, but it still had the backwards compatibility. Then they did a Slim that had emulation for backwards compatibility with the PS2 games, and PS1 games were still hardware compatible. And then I think the Super Slim was all hardware emulation, and it was the least capable of the PlayStations, but it played all your PS3 games and it still did the digital stuff. The PS4 also had price drops as the years went on. When the PS4 Pro came out, the original PS4, well, by that point it was the Slim, dropped down in price by about $100, and the Pro launched at around the same price as the PS4 launched at when it was brand new. But now we're having the PS5 at around $500 and the Pro is coming out at $700, $200 more. Everyone thought that there would be a price decrease of the original by $50 to $100. So from $500 to like $400 to $450, and then the Pro would be $500 to $550. Like, we thought there would be about $100 to $150 price discrepancy. Oh, we were wrong. I mean, the price discrepancy between the regular and the Pro is $200. But the regular one hasn't dropped in price, which is a worrying trend when it comes to consoles going forward. I mean, look at the Switch. In Canada, it is $399. In the US, it's $299. There is a cheaper version, the Switch Lite, at $249 in the States. But you don't have the detachable Joy-Cons. You don't have the docking station, so you can't play it on your TV. That's the trade-off between the Lite and the regular Switch. And you also have the Switch OLED, which is a little bit more money, but you get the nicer screen. But the power inside is still the same. So, with Switch being 7 years old right now, almost 8, you are still paying full price. If you bought this Switch in 7 years ago when you bought it, like brand new, off the shelf, or pre-ordered it, it's the same price since day one. Yes, they'll bundle in games now, but like, you would have thought the Switch would be $199, $150. Like, the hardware inside the Switch is not worth the money. It is a very old console with very old tech right now. It's still selling like hotcakes because it does have a market cornered about the portable, like the portable market and the Nintendo games market. But you would think that 7 years into the life cycle, Nintendo would just drop the core price and sell a couple more that way. Maybe they'll drop the price when the Switch 2 gets announced. But if things are going the way they're going, Nintendo is either going to keep the Switch at, I'm going to go US prices, $299, and have the Switch 2 come in at $399 or $450 even, depending on what the hardware is inside. The smart thing to do would be to drop the price of the original Switch by $50 to $100. $100 would be nicer, but I'm foreseeing about $50 drop, and then having the Switch 2 come out at either $350 or $400, because that is still going to be the cheapest console you can buy. But I think you're going to be competing with an Xbox Series S at that point, and those have gotten pretty cheap sometimes on sales, but you are forfeiting all that extra power of the Xbox Series X. And Xbox right now isn't doing great in terms of console sales anyway, so you're not getting the same level of games as you're getting on a PlayStation and the Switch right now. Like, Xbox has not pushed their exclusives like Sony and Nintendo has. So then you don't have that whole ability to like say, oh, I can play these multi-console games on the Xbox and I have my exclusives. You're basically just playing multi-platform games at that point. You got Starfield, yes. But like the new Indiana Jones game is coming to the PS5 come in 2025. So yes, you'll get it early on the Xbox, but you won't get it like you won't get an exclusive there. Where Sony has Last of Us, they have Uncharted, they have Ratchet and Clank, they have a lot of franchises. Astro Bot just came out, and like it's the Sony console ecosystem does have more to offer than the Xbox in terms of volume of games you can play that are high quality. Because multi-platform games will come out to both, and they'll play both great on both, no denying it. But Sony does have that pedigree of games that are very good, and they are not available anywhere. They're slowly coming to PC, but you're waiting a couple months. I mean, Helldivers was day and date, but games like Spider-Man 2, I don't think they're on PC yet. It's just an PlayStation exclusive. Horizon took forever. Last of Us Part 2, still not on the PC, as far as I know, or it just came to PC when the remaster came out. But it's basically you're waiting on PC to get those PlayStation games, especially those single-player darlings. Whereas Xbox is doing everything day and date, so to own the console is not as important as having a Microsoft ready system. So you can have a good PC, and you can play a lot of Microsoft games on there. Like, Microsoft is making it very accessible, which I love. But they are not really, it doesn't feel like they're really into the consoles anymore, which means that Sony has the advantage of being all alone in that space. And unfortunately, without competition, you're going to get a lot of, I'm not going to say anti-consumer behavior, but you're going to feel it in your wallet. Like, Sony launched the PS5 Pro at $700 because they didn't have to compete with an Xbox Series X Pro. The Sony's got the most powerful console. You want the best, you buy a Sony, and they know it. And with this, the way things are going, the PS6 might be almost $1,000 at this point. I've seen people mention it where this is a worry of theirs. My hope is that the PS6 will be $500 to $600 like the PS5 at launch. The PS5 will get a price drop because at that point it's going to be at least 7 years old. But I mean, Nintendo hasn't dropped the price of the Switch, so I don't know how that's going to look. Because I don't know if people can stomach a $1,000 console. Like, $700 in the US is a lot more money elsewhere in the world. Like, it's $950 in Canada right now. The EU is also selling it for €700 or right around that price point. And the euro is worth more than the dollar, and the British pound is also worth more than the dollar. So they're getting screwed because even though it looks like they're paying the same amount of money, that money is worth more. So they're paying closer to $800-900, just like Canadians. It's a very expensive console. And if it keeps going up in price, it's going to make a lot of people maybe reconsider the console market. They might go to PC gaming. So I don't know what the answer to this is, because the corporations need to make their money. That's their job. But in terms of being a gamer, especially on the console side, it's starting to feel a little bit bleak. It's the PC gaming has been expensive. Like Nvidia graphics cards go over $1,000 easily, the top of the line ones. And I think with consoles, you're kind of getting into that. Before, console makers would take a hit on the console because they would make it up on game sales, because they get 30% cut on all digital sales, and I'm sure they get a cut on disc sales too. Where now they're not willing to do that. They're not willing to take a hit and lose money to sell you a console, because now they know people will buy them. Maybe not as many, but the profit margins are going to be nicer. So when it comes to console prices and discounts, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get back to those days of a $99 GameCube, a $99 Wii, a PlayStation 3 for pretty much $150 to $200. Like, just something like, I don't know how to, like, my feelings towards this is I'm kind of scared about where the prices are going. Like, when the PS4 was announced, you can go and buy a PS3 super cheap, and the best thing was the games. They had the Player's Choice or that silver box stuff for the greatest hits stuff. Those games were $5 to $10, like $20 and under for all those games, and they were the biggest hits. Now that doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, you'll have them on the services like PS Plus Extra and Game Pass, but it's not the same as owning the disc. You can't go to the store and buy those games for that price. You might see them on sale digitally, but unfortunately, I think those days of budget gaming are over. Anyways, thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe, and happy gaming.